One thing that he communicated to us is that as he raises his kids, one thing that he has told them is that, what's important to them as a family, is that they work hard at everything. But it didn't stop there. What he was actually saying is, like, when it's time to rest, we work really hard at resting.
Yeah.
When it's time to have fun with our friends, we work really hard at having fun with our friends. And what he's actually saying is that they're super intentional people. Welcome to Money Therapy, another episode. We appreciate your time. I'm Brandon Chasteen.
I'm Bill McGill.
And we're financial professionals. We own, operate, work at Harpeth Wealth Partners. So what we're trying to do is talk about money, finance, trying to educate, but from a perspective of a real financial professional. And we like to focus a lot on the behavior side of money. So understanding that, the pluses and minuses of things can oftentimes be important. And there will be times where we talk about like the data parts of money, but really what we're trying to do is make people better with their what they have by way of understanding our own, like ourselves as human beings. So with that, this episode, I don't, a working title, hashtag crush it.
Hashtag crush it. I think that's the best.
Maybe that's what we're going to go with, but it's actually going to surprise you because we're trying to basically say goodbye to that mentality.
Hashtag crush it crash, actually.
Crush it crash. Death to killing ourselves and being proud of it.
Correct.
So the email that I sent out on Sunday, here's how it starts. Up at 5 a.m, daily workout, paleo, bulletproof, gluten-free, cold shower, build a business, start a side hustle, dominate Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, make my family a priority, serve in the community. I know I'm not alone. Hashtag crush it.
I totally started the cold shower thing like 2 months ago.
It's honestly sadly, like, that's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Most people in my apartment complex think I'm crazy because I'll jump in the outdoor pool as like a cold plunge thing.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they think I'm out of my mind.
Yeah.
But it feels great.
And there's so many, there's so much that we're talking about this, and I'm probably like, I'm terrible at this stuff. I love some Jocko podcast. If you could see the bookshelf behind me over here, most, if not all of his books are on there. I love the dude. And discipline equals freedom. Get after it. Get some. These are, it's important. Gary V is another one. I got his quote here. Let's see. He wrote a book, according to him. Here's the quote. You need to work harder and faster. There's really nothing else to it. I'm exhausted every day, but I'm making all sorts of things happen in my 18 hours. And then he added, and I'm prioritizing what's important to me and what's not. So the idea here is that, like, if you're not exhausted, you are not wearing a badge of honor, right? Yeah. It's cool to work ourselves to the bone. It's cool to be exhausted. It's cool to be in a state of discomfort. And again, some of this stuff is so important, but I think our takeaway, our stance on this is it needs to be important when it's supposed to be important.
Yeah.
But it's also, as much as I want to wear this badge of honor that says I work aggressively hard, I also want a badge, and it should be an honorable badge, to say I know how to take a nap.
Right.
And I rest too.
Yeah, I think what we preach most often on this podcast, and I think one of the biggest things we want to get through to our audience, is a sense of balance with your life. And we come at it from a perspective of finances in life and emotions in life. Because to give Gary V credit, I feel my best too when I'm exhausted at the end of the day and I've had a great day and I've really put in 100%. There's definitely some truth to that. But if you make that your whole life, sometimes you can sacrifice other things like that may be important to you, family, friends, all those things. And so we're not, I guess, trying to say Gary Vee is 100% wrong, but we do believe in that balance.
And I don't think that necessarily we're using that as an example. We're definitely not attacking anyone because I think
attacking
that
Gary Vee.
I think that he would also say like, I think he would probably agree with me in saying this. What I am suggesting, not so much as like be exhausted. I'm more pro be intentional.
Yeah.
Right. So the notion. So this is something that I've borrowed from a friend. His name's Josh Smith.
Okay.
So Josh Smith, good friend of mine. He owns a business in downtown Nashville, and he brought us all together one time, and it's really really cool circumstance. Tell you about it some other time, but we found ourselves like sitting around a table, and one thing that he communicated to us is that as he raises his kids, one thing that he has told them is that, you know, what's important to them as a family, you know, is that they work hard at everything. But it didn't stop there. What he was actually saying is like when it's time to rest, we work really hard at resting.
Yeah.
When it's time to have fun with our friends, we work really hard at having fun with our friends. And what he's actually saying is that they're super intentional people. If you get to sit down with Josh and you get to be knee to knee with this guy, you're the only part of his world right now. Like if he sets up time to sit down and talk to you,
Very present.
he only cares about talking to you.
Yeah.
So he's not distracted. He's not exhausted. He's intentional.
Sure.
And I think that we can also take that, like, carry that. And that's, I've completely stole that from him with my daughter. I give you guys permission to steal it from him too. He won't care. But the idea is like, when I'm talking to my daughter and she's like, Dad, I'm really tired. Like, well, Ellie, like go take a moment and rest and be super intentional. Don't be distracted.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, I'm not saying that, I'm not preaching like I'm preaching to the choir. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I need to take a break. And what do? I pull out my phone and get on like Instagram and start scrolling and just let my mind be absent for a minute. And sometimes that can be really important. But really what I probably would be better served to do, being super intentional about taking that break, is to like go outside and go for a 20-minute walk and just spend some time like breathing fresh air, watching clouds, go over my head, that kind of like a true break.
Yeah, that's where my brain went immediately when you were just talking there is there's so much distraction in our world today. There's so many people out there. Hey, click on this, watch this. If you get on YouTube or Facebook, they got their shorts, or TikTok, or whatever it is. And so you may think that you're taking that break. That's good for you. But be careful about what you're putting into your brain. If it's, TikTok or, a lot of that stuff is just crap.
Yeah.
Right. And so getting outside and enjoying nature, getting in touch with that can be, hugely beneficial in so many different ways. That goes back to that intentionality, right? Like I am going to rest for the next 15 minutes. And this is something I'm going to do X activity, which I know really helps me recharge.
Yeah. And that spills over in everything, right? Like there's so many times where I'm like, man, I wish I just had like a little bit more time for my friends, for my family. And then I'm around my friends, and what am I doing? I'm like taking a work call. I'm, responding to a quick email. And it's just like, man, like I'm not doing a good job of utilizing the time, the space on my calendar for the purpose I've ascribed to it, So in that sense, what we can probably do is start just being more intentional. How in the world does this equate to our finances? And I'm going to tell a story, and then we'll talk about that. So, young advisor Brandon, first couple, maybe year, maybe 2 years in the job. I had a client. They were a couple in their 50s, and they wanted an early retirement. They wanted to retire early. And they worked themselves and they were doing phenomenal. Like every single financial thing that they could do, they did. They were on track, on target. These guys were driven human beings.
Sure.
Husband retired. Wife was going to retire a few months later just because of some insurance stuff that they were trying to take advantage of. in that process, she goes to the doctor, gets diagnosed with cancer, passes away about 6 months after her retirement date.
Oh man.
We need to be opportunistic about the time that we have now and make sure that our time is being diversified across all the things that we value and are important. And there's so much to be said about being disciplined. Like if you tell yourself you're going to get up at 4 a.m. and go to the gym, get up at 4 a.m. and go to the gym.
Right.
Right. We're not saying don't be disciplined, but what we are saying, in fact, we're actually saying even in your, off day or your cheat day, there's still things that need to happen. So be super, super intentional, right? Don't go half-hearted into anything, but instead make sure that we're also prioritizing our home life, our personal life, and rest.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things that jumped into my head was there was a study years and years ago where they kind of tried to determine what amount of money, does happiness increase with money? And they basically found at the end of the study that happiness kind of increases exponentially to about $75,000, $80,000. And then above that, happiness doesn't really go up that much. And so people take that study very literally. What that says to me, and I think that we can both agree on, is there's other things in life than money. Money's hugely important. Discipline can help with money, emotions, everything that we're talking about here. But there's more to life than that, and balance and intentionality can allow you to optimize all those things, as well as taking care of yourself in the moment.
Yeah. I think the other piece to like the financial, so, one, we can work for our goals. We can put everything we have behind them, be hashtag exhausted, hashtag crushing it. But then at the end of the day, we could also be hashtag dead before we get to the end, before we get to the time we were aspiring to get to this end so we could rest and relax then, and we just didn't make it, right? The other piece to this though, and this is really, really important because I see this all the time. I have clients transition from work into that work optional space, call it retirement, call it just taking some time.
I love that work optional. I love using that.
So with that, I think what ends up happening is we're go, 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 go. And then we retire or we take some time off work. And we don't know how to function inside of peace and quiet.
Right.
We don't know how to find ourselves. We don't know how to get comfortable in the space of there's nothing to do. We're really, really unfamiliar with ourselves. And so what do? We start trying to figure out, we're unfulfilled. And two, we try to find something to do to keep us preoccupied.
Yeah.
So we're not even being good at retirement. We're not being good at taking time off. Because we've conditioned ourselves for whether it be 10 months, 10 years, or 40 years of work, we've conditioned ourselves to be those go-getters. And it's like none of this is just a switch. Like our brain does not work that way. Nothing in us is a switch that can just be turned off or turned on. And so if we don't practice being intentional and being comfortable in silence, quietness, stillness, just being alone with our thoughts, we are never going to be able to relax. And if we're never going to be able to relax, what's the point?
Yeah.
We're just going to work ourselves till we're dead. What's the point of any of it? Like any of this whole like financial freedom, if when we're freedom, we're still just like, I got to be doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. If I could tell a quick funny story,
Yeah.
I hope my dad's okay with me talking about him on the podcast, but my dad's the most type A individual ever. I mean, he's, I won't go into it, but he's exactly what you're describing. He can't sit still, but he loves life. He
Sure.
goes out and he's exactly that. Like if he can be exhausted at the end of the day, he's happy as a clam. And my parents came in to hang out with me and my wife here in Nashville. And we went to the lake for the day and just hung out on the beach in the lake and things like that. And after like 2.5 hours of just kind of floating in the water and stuff, my dad comes out of the water and he goes, "Man, I feel tired, but I don't feel like I could sleep. It's really weird." And I laughed. I said, "Dad, that's called relaxation." My dad has a fantastic sense of humor, so he's like, "Really? Is that what that is? Wow, this is amazing." So you just reminded me of that. That's one of my favorite stories.
That's awesome. So I think I think we'll start to wrap up, and I think the point here is wear your badge of honor as far as like the work hard, be hard, the hashtag crush it, the hey, I'm exhausted at the end of the day. Wear that proudly, but also understand there's more. You can wear more than one badge. And I think what's most important is being hashtag intentional, and understanding when it's time to rest. I'm intentional, like airplane mode on the phone. I'm putting my phone away in a drawer. I'm going to turn off the TV. I'm going to sit outside on my patio. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to go, play with my dogs. I'm going to go spend some time outside. I'm going to go find a trail. When it's time to talk about fitness, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to be really, really intentional at the gym, and I'm going to work really hard. When it's time to sit down with a friend, I'm going to be super present. Like the intentional badge is probably, in my mind, the most important badge that we carry. But also, in the email, one of the things we said is like, wouldn't it be cool? Let's see if I can find that. At a minimum, so sit down. Let's talk about it for a minute because I have time for you. So one of the things we're saying is like, have space. When we're super intentional, we can have more space.
Sure.
But then it says, at a minimum, when somebody asks, how are you doing? One, you should feel the freedom and the pride in saying, I'm really rested. How about you?
Yeah.
And that's something that if I don't know the last time I've asked someone and said like, how you doing? And they're like, I'm really rested.
Yeah. And if they did, you wouldn't know how to respond.
Like, oh, what's that? What's that mean? So we're undoing it. We Harp with Wealth, Money Therapy. We're declaring the end to the hashtag crush it with hashtag crush it crash. So go ahead and do us a favor. It'd be really, really cool. This would be fun. If you can go ahead and post a picture of you resting on social media and just put that caption on there. Hashtag crush it crash.
Yeah.
And let's be rested. With that, our episodes are usually like 25-ish minutes, maybe 30. We're going to end this at roughly 18 minutes in, maybe a little less, and allow you 7 minutes or so to just be sitting quiet and rest and recharge. And we look forward to hearing back. You got anything else?
Just love it. That's awesome.
All right, go rest and enjoy your week. We'll see you back next week fully rested.
See y'all later.
Bye. We hope you learned something valuable today. We appreciate you including us in your journey towards financial betterment. It is important to us that you know this is for educational purposes only and not to be considered specific advice for any individual listener. If something we discussed is relevant to you and you have questions about how it might be uniquely applicable to you, please discuss that with a financial professional, or, of course, we are happy to have further conversations with you about your specific questions, needs, or circumstances. We welcome you to reach out to us via our website, harpethwealthpartners.com, or by emailing Brandon at bmc@harpethwealthpartners.com. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice is offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and Harpeth Wealth Partners are separate entities from LPL Financial. The opinions voiced in this material are for general information only and are not to be intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult appropriate qualified professionals prior to making a decision. Investing includes risk, including fluctuating prices and loss of principal. No strategy assures success or protects against loss. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Hypothetical examples presented are not representative of any specific investments. Your results may vary. We want to thank you for your time, and we look forward to having you back next week.